What's going on YouTube? This is D-Rec here with Argo, bringing you our first Gundam Card Game deck profile here on the channel. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for future content as always. This is going to be the first deck profile that we do on the channel. This one was the most requested by far, the runner-up being Red-Blue Cyber New Type Ping, which will be on the channel soon. Just trying to reconnect with my buddy there to get his list. Getting into this deck profile today with Red-Blue ZAFT Breach. We'll be starting with the units going from top down, and then from there the pilots, and then the commands, and then the bases. Before I get into that though, a lot of people were asking about these particular cards that I use in my resource deck. They're not formal resources. They are cards from the Gundam Arsenal base arcade game. If you've ever been to Japan or if you've ever seen it on YouTube, the artwork itself is beautiful. The foiling and the layering with the textures are insanely they're absolutely beautiful cards. And then my favorite card right here, of course, is Shining Gundam. If you know me personally, you'll know that G Gundam is my favorite Gundam. It's the one that I started off with when I was a kid on Toonami. It's been a good journey to get back into Gundam, and I do, again, always default back to my boy there. But getting into the list, starting off with the units there, for level 5s, I'm starting off with 4 copies of Dual Gundam Assault Shroud. There's a couple combos that I'll show off at the end of the video if you want to skip ahead after the list. I'm going to go over a couple combos that came up in some playtesting that I had done in recent videos, as well as offline, just in testing. We're starting off with 4 copies of Dual Gundam. He's mainly there just to make sure that you're leaning mostly into the ZAFT package and seeing more of your lower cost ZAFT cards. Really good combo if you see the Yazak to go with this, and then you hit a Blitz Gundam for the first strike. Really good combo, and then that's another way to trade into enemy units. And if you see the rest of the combo, then you'll also get like Breach 3, which is nice. Moving on to level 4s, you've got 4 copies of Blitz Gundam. Again, it's a pretty self-explanatory card. It gives first strike on deploy to something with 5 or more AP. And with the rest of the way the combos in the deck work, it's pretty easy to get up there. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but for most situations, you're going to see the 5 AP you need between piloting something or playing something with support to give something an additional set of AP to make that 5 AP requirement. And at 4, it's really, really good. You don't play, we could, I guess, play, I don't think he's really that good, the pilot for this, the Nickel, but that's a personal preference thing at that point. Next up for level 4s, 3 copies of Aegis Gundam Mobile Armor Mode. Really good for the Inherent Breach 3. It's a bit expensive, costing 3 in the early to mid game if you get to level 4. It's kind of hard to justify a little bit, but if you do see that with the AETHER, you have a attacker on the board with Breach 3 Inherent. You don't have to worry about hitting that 5 AP requirement to give it Breach or First Strike with cards like Blitz, or if you play the base, that gives Breach as well. Next up, 2 copies of regular Aegis Gundam. Really solid combo for the on attack if you can see it. Ping something for 3, and then you can combo that. There is a combo that I will talk about at the end of the video, or closer to the end of the video, that came up in a previous match. I'll put the comment up on the screen here in a minute, just so you can see what I'm referring to there. But it was a really interesting situation to be in. It's not one that you would find yourself in consistently, but if you do find yourself in that situation, it's a really cool combo that you can pull off and then be able to benefit a little bit with some of the card skills that come up in that situation there. Moving on, we've got 4 copies of Buster Gundam. One of the big support cards in the deck. It's really solid being a 1/4, so the 4 HP kind of saves it in most situations from being destroyed early on. And then being at 2 cost, you can throw down 2 of these on turn 4 and have a good setup there without running the risk of losing either of them early on to something like Ping, because it has enough HP to survive a couple turns. And then if you do pilot it with something that has the coordinator trait, you'll be able to do that, unsuspend it, and then either do the support again, or you can swing with it if you had it on a turn prior, or you pull off the link with the Dirka in the deck there. Really solid tech for the support 3. Next up, we've got 4 copies of Dual Gundam. This is kind of the bread and butter of the early to mid game combos. It hits the Breach 3 if you have 5 or more AP with it. So you do this with the Buster Gundam or some other techs that you'll see in a minute to get it up to 5+, and then it's going to give it the Breach 3. It does link with any ZAFT trait pilot. So if you do have like the AETHER or the Yazak or the Dirka, if you do play the other command pilot, that one's also really good. I was playing it before because it gives the 3 AP to a friendly ZAFT unit, but I did find it was a little bit underwhelming for the pilot aspect of it because it's a +1/0 pilot. Not super duper great, but the +3 AP was pretty good in some situations. I just wanted the burst effects more than I did the plus from that there. But you'll see why in a minute why I'm thinking that way, because I am playing 4 copies of the Bukyuu. Another support card, leans into support 2, that makes the magic number 5 for the dual Gundam, as well as having the Buster Gundam, of course. So you're going to really lean into making the magic numbers happen with cards that either pump AP or can blow things up on your opponent's side there. But the Bukyuu is another way to make those magic numbers for the breach effect. And then lastly, for my low end, I've got 4 copies of the ZNO. Now, it's a bit tough because it's a 1 HP card, and in this meta where you've got red-blue ping running around, this dies pretty quickly. But most of the pilots that you play in this deck, especially the AETHER, if you see it, can make this a bit hardier. And as long as it's swinging into a level 2, it gets first strike. So early game, if you go up against like green and you want to swing into like a dual Leo, or if you're going up against white and you want to be able to swing into something, this will trade into a ZAFT for free. It's going to survive just because of the first strike. So you have a way to contend with that. And then if you just need something that can swing the same turn, this goes again, same thing, links with any ZAFT trait. So any of your pilots in the deck will work with this for a first turn swing on play, which is really good. Moving on to pilots, I've got 4 copies of AETHER Zala, and he has the wind linked effect, which is really nice. So that combos with the ZNO as well as the regular Aegis Gundam there. When you link it, it allows you for that turn to swing with that unit against an opponent's untapped level 5 or lower unit. So this can swing into a ZAFT, a standing ZAFT, or it can swing into pretty much anything level 5 or lower if you're going up against white blockers. That's ZAFT, that's Elfrith. Situational, but you can definitely run it back with a pair like that. Or if you want to go with the dual Gundam, it becomes a 4/5, and then you just use a support card to make it a 5 or higher AP card. Really solid for the pilot effects, and it's kind of the mainstay name for the rest of the deck because it goes with the Aegis Gundams as well. Next up, 3 copies of Yazak Joule. He's really situational and more just here because he's a ZAFT coordinator pilot. His once per turn, you can't pull it off. Otherwise, he's a +1/+1 pilot that works fairly well with everything else that you have in the deck for the support end of the list. And then lastly for pilots, 3 copies of Dirka Elfman. So his win link is another cycle. You discard a draw card. Not as good as draw then discard, so you have to pitch something that you might want to keep for something that you might not want at all. But it's another way to filter through the deck. It's missing the draw engine like white and blue kind of have. Green has some search, like if you play the Path of Victory Defeat, that gives you a way to search. This deck doesn't have any of that outside of the dual Gundam, but that's for the on play and not hand. So you have some trade-off to make sure that you're still cycling through the deck and drawing cards. Speaking of drawing cards, for our commands, we're playing 4 copies of Show of Resolve. I did switch this from the Overflowing Affection. I cut the Justice out entirely because I felt that it was a little underwhelming, and most of the time with this deck, because it struggles in the early game, getting to turn 7 is kind of hard. So I kind of just lean in on the things that make the deck faster, and that's what led me to playing more Draw Engine and taking out the white package for the blue package in here. So 4 Show of Resolve, and then the last of my commands are 2 Battle of Aces. Really solid card. If you're doing the Aegis Gundam combo is really good. Ping something for 3, deal with the remaining 3 with this. Solid combo, and then, or if you swing into it with like the ZNO, like you have that on the board still, and you can swing with it, ping it for 2, hit this for 3, it deals 5 damage. That kills most things in the mid game. Late game you might not, but you'll have other options in the end game as well. And then for bases, we're playing 2 copies of Vesalius. Really solid for the tap to give something an additional AP, which makes the magic numbers. So for instance, if you have the dual Gundam on the board, you'll pilot it with something that makes it a 4/4 or 4/5. Tap this to make it a 5/4 or 5/5, and that's going to allow you to proc the Breach 3 and or the first strike from the Blitz Gundam. And then lastly for bases, 3 copies of the Gamau, another way to proc into Breach a bit more. So if you have this with the dual Gundam, you hit the 5 AP with a support card. This will stack the Breach on top, so you'll have Breach 6. That whole combo eliminates most people playing the 6 HP base, like the Underground Mining Facility, or any other base entirely. So you'll hit it for 6, and that's 1 attack. In addition to also removing something on your opponent's side of their board. So you get rid of a unit, in addition to breaking a base at the same time. It's a bit more moving parts than green, but you can do it earlier than green, and with the ability to replay things from the deck, like with the dual Gundam, I think that you have an opportunity to guarantee a better board state, but it's a lot of moving parts. I don't think it's super strong right now. I'm looking forward to what comes in set 2 when we get more ZAFT support, so we'll see how that pans out for the list here. But that is it for our very first in-depth deck profile here on the channel. Getting into some of the combos now, and that situation I want to explain a little bit there. So the situation was, we have Aegis Gundam on the board already. Opponent's turn 6, he plays down a Death Scythe, and he pilots it with the duo. So that makes it a 6/6, I believe. It's a duo as a +1/+2. So it makes it a 6/6, he ramps, and he doesn't swing, passes. My next turn, I go and I pilot it with Isaac Joule. That makes it a 5/4, and then I attempt to swing into base. So that whole combo swings into base, and then the swing on attack, since I'm at 5 AP, I deal 3 damage to a level 5 or higher enemy unit. That pings the Death Scythe for 3. During the action step, the opportunity here that I'd missed was opponent plays no actions during their action step and passes. My turn comes, turn player action step pops up, play Battle of Aces for 3. That deals the remaining 3 damage to the Death Scythe. And so attack, deal 3 damage. Opponent standby player's action step, they pass. My action step, play Battle of Aces, ping the remaining 3 to destroy the Link unit. We're still in the same attack, and because Isaac Joule is piloting the unit that's currently attacking, his effect procs off his once per turn to draw a card is there. It's a lot to do just to get a draw, but it is a situation that could come up. A lot of moving part combo there, but that was one situation that came up I thought was interesting. The last one that came up was if you have the Dual Gundam, let's say you have Gamma out for the base, you play down Dual Gundam Assault Shroud. Dual Gundam Assault Shroud gets paired with Isaac Joule. You now have a 5/5, swinging in, you check top 3, and you get a Blitz Gundam. Blitz Gundam gives your Dual Gundam Assault Shroud first strike because it's a 5/5, and then you just tap down the Gamma to give it Breach 3. This swings in, takes no damage, on destroy, deal Breach 3 to enemy shield area. Another good combo. A lot of moving parts again. I can't stress enough the amount of moving parts this deck has, but it's interesting when things do proc off in your favor, because it's also not only destroying enemy units and reducing your opponent's board state, but it's also attacking the shield area at the same time, which is really awesome. And I do, again, hope that when set 2 rolls around, we get a bit more to utilize in ZAFT, and it makes it like a bit faster or a bit more consistent than it is right now. I think it relies a lot on some other colors to make it better, like a blue engine for the draw or a white engine for the draw and the blockers. If you want to try and fit, I guess, I was contemplating fitting in an RX-78 package in here with a Amuro, but I think the Amuro clashes a little bit too much because at that point it just becomes a generic 2/1 pilot. You get the on pair to rest something, and then the RX-78 in that whole package gives everything in your front row +1 AP, so that can be a way to satisfy the AP requirement for cards like the Gamma base or the Dual Gundam or the Blitz Gundam. So things to consider. But this is my working list right now for red, blue ZAFT. Again, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for future content. I'll be doing more of these in the near future. Again, looking at doing a white-blue unicorn blockers list in the near future, as well as red-blue Cyberdu type ping, and then green-white Operation Meteor blockers. So stay tuned for all of that. But until the next video, guys, take care.